Hey guys and gals, welcome to Miyagi Mornings, episode 80, right? So we are rocking along here. I mean, it's not going to be long. We're going to have 100 episodes of Miyagi Morning. That's pretty badass. I think a lot of people start things and never get to 100 of them. I've seen plenty of podcasts flame out at about 20. And I think there's actually kind of a momentum that builds when you do anything 100 times. That's kind of either a pattern, or if you decide, if I do something, I'm going to do it at least 100 times before I quit, that can become a routine. Or maybe it can become a ritual. And if we follow rituals, sometimes we get better results doing the exact same thing other than making them routine. So this all stemmed from a question today that I got on MeWe. And if you want to ask a question or suggest a topic for Miyagi Mornings, the best place to do it is the MeWe post at the top of my profile there. Friend me up if you haven't already. Check the top of my profile. You'll see that post sticky to the top and post it there. And be direct. And here's a great example of being direct, short, to the point with a question where I know exactly what you're asking. I know why you're asking it, and I can do a good job responding to it. So this individual said, I've been developing my morning routine this week, which makes an interesting which includes posting a daily video update to phireon.com. Phireon.com. The choice is yours, right? To phireon.com to guide my day. What's your morning routine and why? Why is it so important? And so, as you'll hear today, part of my morning routine is figuring out what I'm going to do for Miyagi Mornings before I do everything else, and thinking about it and ruminating on it, kind of as I go through those other activities. So that by the time I sit down and have this discussion with you guys, it's not, oh, look, there's a question. It's like a lightning answer. I've actually thought about it. And as I was doing that and thinking about this one, I realized something about my morning routine. It's not just a routine, it's a ritual. And what's the difference between routine and ritual? Well, when I was in the Army, I definitely, especially when I was in school, right? And when I was in basic training and I was in advanced school, I definitely had a morning routine because I had to. There was things that had to be done, and included like lining your shoes up, dress right dress as they call it. It means they're all the same and everything's designed exactly the way you're supposed to, and your underwear folded to a certain, you better have done that the night before, you don't have time to do it in the morning, but you check everything, make sure everything's exactly the way it's supposed to be, open your wall locker, and all the hangers need to be a certain distance apart, so you decide whether you can use 2 or 3 fingers, depending on whether you have the freedom to do that or not, what kind of school you're in, but it all needs to look uniform, and that was something we did every morning. It was routine. Over time, people that do really well in that environment turn it into a ritual by thinking about what you're doing and why you're doing it. And a really switched on NCO that was my drill instructor in AIT had a conversation with me about that, and it made me a better soldier. And it's something I've always stuck with. There's a video of a Navy SEAL doing a commencement address, and he said, start your day by making your bed. And I've seen a lot of people comment when people post that, like, I'm going to make bed, blah, 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 and they just throw the thing out there. It doesn't matter, I'm going to climb in it the next night, and I'm going to make your bed. And see, those people miss the entire point of what this man was trying to explain to people with an open mind. If you had listened with an open mind, you would have understood. Maybe it's not making the bed for you. He was in SEAL school. It's tough. I went through airborne school. That's like freaking going to play canasta with your aunt compared to SEAL school, right? He developed this ritual for himself. And he said every night, at least you knew when you came home dog tired, you had a nice bed to get into. But he was thinking about the end at the beginning. That's when you go from routine to ritual. So you can have a routine. Some people have routines every day. They get up, they brush their teeth, they have coffee, they do something, they go out the door, they go to work, right? It's a routine. And you can do it without even thinking about it. You just do it. And it's useful because it sets a pattern and it has value, and it does get you into a state of mind to get the things you need done in the day done. And it does create a reinforcement of what's called circadian rhythm. Circadian rhythm is a part of your sleep ritual, right? And it's very important that we kind of maintain a common time that we go to bed and wake up, and then how we have activity throughout the day. In fact, circadian means about a day, and it's root. And so those rituals upon waking up or going to sleep, or those routines, depending on how we come at them, are very important to that circadian rhythm, which is very important to our overall health and our mental state, etc. What switches from, again, routine to ritual, though, isn't burning incense and chanting Om, Om, or whatever, right? And like, there's nothing wrong with that. If you have meditation or something like that in a more formal form as part of your ritual or routine, then you should certainly continue on with that. And there's nothing at all. I'm not making fun. I'm just saying it doesn't have to be. What makes what I do a ritual, for instance, we'll go through a little bit of what I do every morning. I wake up. The first thing I do when I wake up is I go make a batch of coffee to have coffee. And when I make that coffee and I grind it, I think about why I'm grinding it. I'm grinding it because the essential oils in those beans that haven't been, because it was roasted right, are still there. And by cracking them open, it's like cracking open peppercorn. And I boil the water and I stop the water. I make my coffee at 200 degrees. And when I pour, I look at that 200 on my electric kettle and I think about that 200 degrees and why it makes better coffee than boiling the water. Okay? And then I sit down. Generally, my wife is getting ready to do her day, so she's away from, and it's quiet. And I sit down and I have that first cup of coffee alone in total silence. And I think about what I'm going to do with my day. And I savor that cup of coffee. And then my wife will come out and get ready to go get the grandkids. So now our rituals and routines are overlapping. And I know that's going to happen 99% of the time, right? Occasionally, like today, she had a day off. It threw my routine out of whack and my timing out of whack because usually she gets out of bed and I lay in bed for like another 5 minutes. She goes to the bathroom and that makes me realize it's time to get up. I don't have an alarm clock. So today that didn't happen. So I got a little fudging in it. But when she leaves, I take one of the dogs, either I get on the floor with my old man dog who can't do it on the couch anymore. I let one of the other dogs up and I rotate those dogs so that each dog gets some extra attention, in regular intervals. And I sit there and I drink a second cup of coffee and I do absolutely nothing except think about the fact that I'm spending time with a friend who I'm going to outlive. Because that's how I view my dogs, friends that I'm going to outlive. I'm sure at some point that might change, but right now that's the odds, right? I'm going to outlive my friend and how much we've done together and how much time we have left. And I think about that. And that puts me in touch with my own mortality. It's a very simple thing. And I'm function stacking, believe it or not, right? Because the dog's getting the attention and we're building that bond and we're continuing that relationship. But yet I'm gaining something additional. I'm also gaining that animal's energy and he's gaining mine in a totally relaxed state. Then I go out and I let the birds out. When I let the birds out, I get their eggs. I observe my animals and I think about what they're going to do today and how their pattern's different from the day before. And I pick up the eggs and I think about the fact that we have nourishment and I think about the fact that we have revenue because we're going to sell some of those eggs. And I bring them to the house and then I go out and I dump all the duck pools. And when I dump the duck pools, I think about the fact that I'm now irrigating and fertilizing and then I'm going to move these pools so it can be done again. And I'm providing my animals with what they need to be happy and healthy for the rest of this day. And it just continues like that. And I could get up, have coffee, pet the dog, just do the exact same thing, but not contemplate the significance or the meaning thereof. And I do other things that are not quite as set in stone. So when I move my duck pools, right, I'm on a new part of my property than I was the day before. I look around, how are things going? Maybe this tree needs a branch pruned. If I don't have my pruners on me, I make a mental note to come back and prune that branch. I look at how things are growing. I say to myself, what was this like last year? Are we ahead or behind? And I don't do it with worry. I just do it with a simple understanding of timing. Like, did the weather actually accelerate or decelerate? Or am I behind? What do I need to take care of? And then when that's all done, I walk my property. Specifically, any areas where I think I might need to be paying attention to something, and I take that in. And while I'm walking my property, I'm thinking about doing this segment, and I'm thinking about doing my show for the day, my podcast for the day. I then come inside, I have another cup of coffee, and by then the kids are here, so I spend some time with the kids, and then I come into my office, and I do this segment. I do Miyagi Mornings. Then I check my email. When I'm doing this, I'm thinking about, am I giving what I've promised to you? When I check my email, my ritual is over. I'm into actual routine. And why? There's two reasons I don't do the email before Miyagi Mornings. One is it's routine versus ritual, so it breaks the ritual chain. It's just something that has to be done, right? I'm not really, like when I go through email, I don't have time to be mindful of I'm sorry, I don't. Like, that's why I ask for brief emails specific to the point so I can respond as quickly as possible and file them for follow-up. And so that's one reason, because it breaks the ritual. But the other side of it is, and I don't mean to offend anybody, but inevitably there'll be at least one really stupid email, at least one every morning waiting for me. And if I read that email right before I do this video, it's going to affect my performance. And sometimes the question is literally stupid. And I won't give any examples. I don't want to insult or hurt anybody's feelings, because you might not have meant it to be stupid when you sent it. You might have phrased it wrong, and maybe it really wasn't stupid. It just seemed stupid because you left out a couple words. I don't know. Sometimes it's genuinely stupid, and sometimes there's nothing wrong with it except, well, I've had that question 800,000 times in 12 years. So I'm responding to it unfairly. And I always try to catch myself when I'm with that. And I either send the person okay, I covered that in this episode or these 5 episodes, or here's the 1-sentence answer or something, and be fair to that person. But in any event, that is going to derail what I do for you here. So then I go back into more of a ritual. So after I do this and then batch out my email, I'm not looking at my email again until my podcast is live. Now I've gone through email, I've done work, and I want my performance to be elevated. When I get on the microphone, it's like, hi folks, this is Jack Spirko with another edition of the Survival Podcast. As always, when I do that, I want to be in flow, right? And I don't mean some mystical or anything like that. Again, nothing wrong with it if you do, but I don't want any of this negativity coming at me. And if I'm, talking about something that makes me angry or something, I want it to be pure and from that alone, not infected by this other thing. So then I go back to ritual. And what I do is I make another cup of coffee or a cup of tea, depending on how late in the day it is, if I got thrown off on timing. I pet my dog. And in making that batch, think about it. Or my wife makes it for me sometimes, because she's back at that point with the kids and all. And so if she made it for me, I think about the fact that she did it for me and how nice that is. I take that cup of coffee, I drink a little bit of it so it won't splash and go on my hands, and I walk my property. And this time, I don't really go oh, that needs this, doing that. I just walk, take at least 1 lap, sometimes 2 or 3, whatever I feel I need that day. I walk, I breathe in the air, and I just look at what we've done in 8 years. And I just, at that point, it's not, oh, it needs this, or oh, it needs that, or oh, I should add that there, or here's another opportunity. It's just let it be what it is. Look how amazing this is. Look how different this is. Then I come in, do my show notes. Now we're into afternoon usually, right? Do my show notes, and I produce that show. And that is way past routine. Routine is what we do with a J-O-B. And if you want to be an entrepreneur, I'm going to tell you, not only do you need to set certain tasks and certain things that need to be done when they need to be done so they get done, but you need to ritualize them, because you are not punching a clock working by the hour to get a paycheck. Okay? If you are an entrepreneur, if you are a business owner, you are creating or delivering something to another person, and that is an incredible honor and it's an incredible responsibility, and I am not exaggerating here. I'm not fluffing this. I'm not selling it to you. I'm telling you that's how I feel. When I started doing TSP, it was just an idea. And within a few weeks, when I started getting feedback, I tried this thing and it worked. Thank you. I thought, whoa, wait a minute. So I'm going to speak, give advice, and people are going to do it. I knew that, right? I knew that. But it's if you've become a father, right? To say, you made a decision with your wife, we're going to have a kid. And you do what husbands and wives do to make a kid. And then one day, the little pea stick comes back with a plus on it. I'm going to be a dad. But somewhere between there and baby coming out, there's the moment for the mom and the dad, especially if it's the first time, where you really go, oh, wait, I'm going to be a dad. Oh, and the weight comes, and then you have to process it and think about all the wonderful things and all the burden and all the responsibility. Running a business is the same. Especially you didn't buy a franchise or something, right? You took an idea and you made it into something. You've given birth to a child. It's just not a human child. It's an idea child. It's a product child. It's a service child. It's an informational child. And then it's up to you to raise it. You're not going to do it with the routine mindset of what you do in a job, because you'll work just hard enough to make it work so that you don't get fired. But that doesn't work when you're trying to build something and create something. I think this is for everybody, but definitely entrepreneurs, business owners, etc., side hustle, whatever. And for people in retirement too, I think that we lose a part of ourselves when we lose that routine. Ritualize your routine. Understand its significance and its meaning. And if you struggle with that, maybe you need new things in your routine that will give you meaning. Again, just the simple act of dumping water and moving a tray. That can be a job. When I hired somebody to do it, I had a young man working here that I had to do the water every day to save me time. To him, it was work. To me, I've just fertilized a tree that's going to provide for, decades for me or for some other landowner. I've watered that tree. I've refreshed that pan and I've given it to my duck. It's not religious, but it is ritual. And we can all do, I think, with a little more ritual in our lives. It makes us contemplate things a little bit longer and make better decisions. We don't act in haste. With that, it's been Jack Spirko with another edition of Miyagi Mornings. We'll be back next week with 81 through 85.